Dear class, we're back to international relations. This week, we're looking at international organizations and non-governmental organizations, and you're watching a video that's been recorded earlier by Dr. Borshu Bairam. So please do watch that because it goes over the key concepts in the chapter. But also do read the chapter in your textbook by Minxt and McKibben because that's very comprehensive and covers a lot of the important things you need to know, especially for the quiz. So what are we going to talk about here? So in this very short lecture, I'm going to ask you to be very critical as you read chapter 9. But also, when you look back at chapter 7, in each of these chapters, a key theme is emerging. And I want you to think about what are the main points that you understand about the international system, okay? In the beginning of chapter 9, for example, the authors are asking, why have nations joined the United Nations? And they keep repeating this question. Why are they doing that? And at one point in the beginning of the chapter, the authors raised the question about whether the United Nations Security Council is impeding the ability of nations to get along. What's going on? And in your lecture by Dr. Borshu Bairam, you'll see what the United Nations is about, right? So I don't want to spend too much time looking at the factual aspects of the chapter here. I'm asking you to think about what's going on. What is the chapter implying about the international system? So we know that the United Nations is created in 1945 after World War II. The world has seen 2 world wars in the 20th century. And we see that Woodrow Wilson's 14-point speech after World War I to create a international governing body in which free nations can participate, right? So the idea of free nations, free of what? Colonialism, right? To create this system of free nations. That was the big idea. And we also probably heard from the lecture by Dr. Borshu Bairam that the Security Council plays a role within the United Nations, right? The idea is to allow states to still talk about issues of power politics or realpolitik, as we say, right? But it's created, the whole United Nations is created to address the issue of the lack of a world government, right? So we have a state of anarchy and we want to not have a state of anarchy. We want some kind of order. So I'm going to link a few more videos for you. So make sure you watch those about the founding of the United Nations. And also about the Bretton Woods organizations, because these are closely related. But the Bretton Woods organizations will cover more when we study chapter 8. Now look at this, very important. The United Nations purports to have particular values. It says that we're creating this international governing body with the hope of having more peace more law and order in the international system. So they also want to create a system where you have respect for human rights. There's also an interest in economic and social development of nations so that countries which are very poor can become well off. So I will include these videos of the United Nations Charter and the Declaration of Human Rights. So do look at these videos, okay? A big question, however, that's raised by the chapter is one about power in the United Nations. Is it a top-down kind of bureaucracy, or is it a system in which each country has a voice? Meengst and McKibben keep talking about the international organizations establishing laws and norms, rewards for complying with these, and punishments for breaking the laws and norms. And who are the members of these organizations? These are states, right? And so they are suggesting that the international organization is not just some place to come and have tea and coffee, right? It's not just a place where we all sit together and chat. There's actually some implications of joining these organizations. Once you join, you have to abide by the rules of the organization. And if you break the rules, there's punishment. The chapter, however, also proposes that the goal of creating such an organization would be to address some common desires. But if nations already have some common desires, why do we need rewards? Why do we need punishment? Are these goals indeed common, or are they imposed? So these are some of the things I want you to think about as you read this chapter. I'm going to stop here. So in the next time, we'll talk about chapter 8. We'll go a little bit more into these issues of laws and norms and supposed common goals.